You know, I started card in 1986, 30 years ago. I was very young and very handsome at that time, according to my wife. I started card foundation with only 20 pesos. Translation, that's about $1, American US dollar, with a typewriter. So I sent proposals all over the places. And my passion was to establish a bank that is owned and managed by the poor women in our country. Of course, that was a very, very crazy idea 30 years ago. I was the craziest economist in my country, and my colleagues were laughing at me, saying, "You are very crazy because you wanted to establish a bank that is owned by the poor, and yet you want them to manage the bank. Aren't you crazy? You should go to the mental hospital." But I said that for me, the issue in poverty is not access to credit or access to resources. The issue is more on control of resources. And I've seen about franchising here. I will relate to you what my thoughts are. And I don't know whether I'll be connected with you when I define what social franchising in my thoughts and in my heart that it should be. For me, it should always be controlled by the clients, the poor people. Our business is not microfinance or microinsurance per se, no. Our business is poverty eradication in our country. That's our business. We want to establish banks, financial institutions, and social enterprises that are owned and managed by the poor people themselves in our country. 30 years later, this is our story. From just a mere foundation, the Card Foundation with 20 pesos, that's about $1, we now have grown to 14 institutions. Actually, it's 15. Before I left, I just launched the 15th company of card, which is the hospital, owned by our members and a group of doctors. Today, Card has 3 banks, 2 specialized microfinance bank, one specializing in the rural area, another one specializing in the urban area. And the graduate of the microfinance clients move to a higher level banking, which is the SME. There's life after microfinance, and you have to grow them into SME. We have completely challenged the conventional banking wisdom in the country. Where conventional banks ask for collateral, we do not. Where conventional traditional bank asks for kilos and kilos of feasibility studies, we do not. We bring our banks right at the footstep in the countryside. We're the first microfinance bank in the country in 1997, and this shaped the whole policy, environment, and the whole regulation of the Central Bank of the Philippines. Today we have several we have several replications of microfinance bank in our country. We now also own 3 insurance company. We started microinsurance in the Philippines. In fact, it took them several years before they understand what I'm trying to do. In our 3 insurance company, one specializing in non-life for property insurance, disaster insurance. We pioneered disaster insurance. You remember that we have the strongest typhoon registered globally, Typhoon Haiyan. This is the strongest typhoon that ever happened in the Philippines. And we have about 500,000 of our clients totally affected. We were the first responder. We're known as the 135 institution in the microinsurance industry, and even in the insurance industry. 135 meaning if there's a claim, there's a demand for payment for the benefit in 1 day, we will pay the benefit. If there are questions, in 3 days. If there are documents required in 5 days with finality, we will pay our poor clients because this is when they need the benefits most. Other insurance company, the traditional in the Philippines, they also have 135. It takes them 1 year, 3 years, 5 years before you get your benefit. Sometimes you don't get anything at all. We have the life insurance. And our clients, whenever something happened to the clients, we pay them funeral services, we give them indemnity, and even the families are also insured. So if something happened, then there's always that safety net. And we have the lowest premium, and our insurance company is completely owned by our members.